right. Welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike. I'm your host, and thanks for checking back in with another episode with us. Before we get into our episode tonight, just a couple of things to get out of the way. First and foremost, our internet offerings, first of which is our website, which you can find at ahpod.com. That's AHHPOD.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for America's Hometown Horror, and you shall find us. And you can also email us at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. And if you can hear a dog barking, happy belated birthday to the official hound dog of America's Hometown Horror, at the Spooky Hound Dog on Instagram. Say what's up to him. And I would be remiss if I did not mention our two partners in crime, first of which is Horror Facts Magazine. You can find them at horrorfacts.com. Man, oh man, what a great resource for horror fans. Check out their website. You can find all sorts of news, reviews, and a bunch of horror podcasts, including ours. And last but certainly not least, have to mention our friends over at Fangoria, the first in fright since 1979. Say that 5 times fast. A lot of alliteration. Our friends at Fangoria, first in fright since 1979. Anyway, we're partnering with Fangoria to give our listeners an exclusive 20% discount on all merchandise and first-time magazine subscriptions. Just head on over to shop.fangoria.com/hometownhorrorpod, or just use the code hometownhorrorpod at checkout for an exclusive 20% discount. Again, on everything from fangoria.com. Head on over and treat yourself in the new year and get some merch from Fangoria. Merch. Treat yourself. All right, folks, we are back. We are back, baby. And we are getting Doug back. And we're the 4 best friends that anybody could have. Welcome back to episode 2 of Janthology 2, Electric Boogaloo, or whatever else we're decided to call this.
I like that.
Yeah, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts in studio, live and in person, Andrew, Kat, and Matt. Lady, gentlemen, a good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
What's going on?
What's up? How's everybody doing?
We're doing. It's
Good.
Wednesday.
Ready to rock and roll?
It's January.
Hump day.
It snowed.
It is.
Snowing.
As the snow
It
falls.
stopped. I
No,
think.
No, it stopped.
it's still snowing.
As the snow falls here in America's hometown, it is always Halloween in the studio as we talk some horror with you.
Snow only accumulated on your driveway.
I know, right? Of course.
Yeah.
It's made it nice and safe to drive down. I was like, oh, this isn't slick at all.
Yeah, we do have a terrible driveway for snow, or terrible driveway
just
pretty
life.
much for anything for
Yeah.
life. And, yeah, so thankfully, we haven't had too bad of a snowstorm yet. But anyway, hey,
No
weather
one's died here yet.
Right.
No, not yet. Not that we know of,
surprisingly.
anyway. Yeah.
weather talk here on America's Hometown Horror.
We bring everything to the table.
Let it rain.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, guys, normally at this point, I kind of bring up new things that are coming out, and I say at this point, if you're listening to the show, you can watch, but there's nothing else that I haven't mentioned last week. But there is I guess a semi-big release coming out on this coming Sunday, the 15th, and that is the new series on HBO called The Last of Us. Have you guys been following this at all, or any sort of interest at all? Know anything about it?
I might watch this, so I never played the
I'm
game.
going to check it out. I haven't played the game.
Okay, so it is a video game. It was based off a video game.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have. I used to, when I was working overnights in my job, there was a handful of guys I was working with that would love the game, and this was 2 years ago, and they were anticipating this coming out on HBO. So this has been in the works for a while. But yeah, it looks cool. I guess what I've been reading about it seems pretty rad. The pictures I've seen look fucking insane.
Yeah.
So I'll
The
check it out.
zombie?
So
Kind
it's
of?
kind of a zombie thing, and it's definitely one of those tired, like, apocalyptic tropes.
Yeah.
But I guess
Borderlands.
apparently, like, this is like if according to video game people, it's arguably the strongest story ever told via a video game across 2 games. There's 2 games out now, The Last of Us and I think The Last of Us 2.
Ever?
They say this is the best
Other
story.
than, like the Mario Brothers movies?
Well, I mean, Mario's cool and everything.
Just kidding.
But apparently the emotional resonance of this story is very, very good. It's set against an apocalyptic scenario where there's a fungal infection that has devastated humanity. So it's not zombies per se, but like mutated humans. And if I remember correctly, the mutated monsters are called clickers because of the sounds that they make before they attack.
Ooh.
Yeah, something like that. So, first episode's on Sunday night. I'm definitely going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal Actually, 2 Game of Thrones alumni are the 2 main cast. Pedro Pascal, who played the Viper, who got his head squashed by the mountain in Game of Thrones. One of the best episodes of Game of Thrones ever. He's the lead character, named Joel. And then the main female character, and I don't know her name, the character's name, or the actress's name. She was the little girl that aligned herself with Jon Snow in the last season of Game of Thrones, and then got squashed by the giant in the Battle of Winterfell. You would definitely, I think her name, the actress' name is Bella Ramsey. That's her name. I know that, but she's playing the main actress in the.
She plays Ellie Williams.
Ellie, yes, Ellie is the character's name. So it looks pretty cool. Nick Offerman's in it, playing a character. Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. So I'm always.
Melanie Linsky's also in it.
I love Melanie. Yeah, Yellow Jackets. I love Melanie Linsky. She's pretty awesome. So Last of Us.
Back up a little bit.
Sure.
So Matt said Borderland.
Borderlands.
So do you know that show on Netflix, Alice in Borderlands?
That's
Borderlands?
I don't think that's
Japanese.
Is it? What is
or
it?
Asian,
Have you seen it? Is that because that just made me think of
I don't
what
think
is
that's
that
the
actually
same.
That has
about?
nothing
It's
to
not
do-
like
that's
I don't think
just
there's
like
any.
its
I don't think there's any relation.
No.
Oh, that was
But
my question.
that's good. No worries.
Sorry,
yeah.
I got confused when you
It's
said
like
that. I was
Borderlands,
what?
Bioshock. I was kind of throwing out random-
Bioshock is my favorite video game series.
What's
of
the
all
other
time
one?
in
Fallout.
stories.
Fallout's
Fallout.
another
So
big
they're
one.
making
Yeah.
an Amazon Prime series based on Fallout.
But that's what I was kind of
Afterlife?
like thinking of this. It's not zombies, but it's like kind of like mutated, like
Okay.
yeah,
nuclear,
that type
whatever.
of that type of stuff.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Check it out.
dude, it looks pretty fucking.
I'll check it
It
out.
Yeah.
looks legit.
It looks cool. So yeah, biggest horror release upcoming in the next few days is definitely the first episode of The Last of Us. Again, that's going to be on HBO. I think just regular HBO, and also obviously on HBO Max. HBO Max.
Check it out.
If you would like to watch that, and who knows if it's good enough, maybe we'll cover it in an episode. A couple of other newsworthy items, real quick. We were talking about this right before we hit record. Lady, gentlemen, we get the trailer for Beau is Afraid, which Kat literally just watched.
Yes.
This is the new film from Ari Aster of Midsommar and Hereditary fame. And I'm not quite sure that it's a horror movie, but it certainly looks interesting.
Yeah,
Looks wild.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is good.
This is based off of a short film he made that is widely acclaimed as his best short film, and people that have followed all of his stuff are very much looking forward to this. This looks like it's gonna be his epic. So
That makes sense.
yeah.
Maybe his version of like Pearl, per se.
More so like Tarantino's like Inglourious Bastards. Like this is gonna be his like big piece.
Okay.
So
Does the short story have the same name? Beau was Afraid.
I think it's just called Beau.
Short film, right? Not short story.
Yeah, short film. That's what I mean.
Okay.
But it's basically it follows a guy who's like afraid to leave his apartment and something's trying to get into it and you don't really know what, and that's kind of all it really leaves you at. But it's pretty intense, but it's also kind of like goofy at the same time. And I from what I understand, this story is supposed to be a kind of a mystery legacy drama comedy.
Huh.
But it's supposed to be very violent, and there's supposed to be a lot of nudity in it.
Okay.
That's what I'm understanding, but it's not necessarily horror.
Down for naked violence.
Maybe horror adjacent.
This
yeah.
movie's perfectly aligned with like my
call, Kat.
like when you get
Down
out of
for
the horror
naked
elements of
violence.
movies. This is like a type of movie that I enjoy.
horror
watching.
adjacent.
Yeah, horror
like,
adjacent and just weird as fuck.
just out of control.
Just bizarre, and then you finish watching and you go, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
It was supposed to be called Disappointment Boulevard, but it ended up. Getting
Oh,
so
okay.
remember the title
I remember
change.
hearing
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that, and so okay.
Also, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor.
Yep.
He's a total weirdo, but I mean, as Andrew has referred to on certain occasions, Joaquin Phoenix. He
I
is.
don't know if I've ever said that on the podcast.
I think you have.
I've said Joaquin.
I think you said
What's his name?
Joaquin
Yeah.
too as well. But anyway,
It's like
it's okay.
Joaquin on your face, man.
Oh,
Calling
He's
me
a good
out.
actor. He's a very good actor, is my point. As oh my God, everyone bust my balls and I make fun of anybody enough. I'll, like, give one little dig
You
at
just
Andrew,
left him
and
a little
everyone's
joke
like,
I
yeah,
did there.
I did,
I saw that.
Yeah, so Beau is Afraid, the latest offering from Ari Aster in A24, and I feel like this just looks from the trailer like Ari Aster saying like, hey, I'm a big swinging dick auteur filmmaker, and this is what I'm going to make, and you're going to make it, because I gave you Hereditary and Midsommar.
I think it's a $600 million budget, and it's the biggest budget A24 has worked.
$600 million?
Jesus
Holy
Christ.
fuck.
Wow.
Jesus Christ, that's like the budget of an Avengers movie, for Christ's sake. insane.
It's also supposed to be 3.5 hours long.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
Well,
wild.
it's also the time allotment of the
strap
I
in.
think I would watch it.
Strap in,
It
strap
looks
on.
like, even despite the time, that I would probably sit.
I'm going to
I'm
go see it in
interested.
theaters.
It that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens.
April
but I will
21st.
definitely. I
This seems like one of those movies that you just go see it in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, I would say child
Yeah.
care permitting for us. I would love to see this movie in theaters. Do you know when it's releasing, by the way?
April 21st.
April 21st.
Or
All
a
right,
nice,
so we got a few
nice
months
little
left.
springtime release.
Okay,
So
beautiful.
Springtime.
And
yeah.
last but not least, I should say, possibly the most America's Hometown bit of news on America's Hometown Horror Podcast ever. So Eli Roth is a filmmaker that we've talked about on this show quite a bit. And I think we've had varying opinions on his films, some better than others. He has some very, very good movies and some very, very bad movies. In 2007, Quentin Tarantino, we were talking about him earlier, speaking of Tarantino, he directed a movie called Grindhouse, which was essentially a double feature that was a throwback to
Robert
the grind.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, him and Robert Rodriguez did a throwback to the Grindhouse cinema of the 70s. And intertwined in between the two main segments were lots of fake trailers from movies. And I think there were like 3 or 4 of them.
Machete.
Machete. Actually, I think so. Machete, Hobo with a Shotgun,
Both which became real movies.
Werewolf Strippers of the SS,
Yep.
which was Rob Zombie,
Also became I think,
Something.
kind of some sort. Yeah.
and another one directed by Eli Roth called Thanksgiving. And so now this is the third of the 4 trailers to be made into a future feature-length film. And Eli Roth has been trying to get this movie made for the better part of about 15 years. And the reason I say this is related to us in Plymouth, America's hometown, is apparently this is a slasher that takes place on Thanksgiving in a Massachusetts town that holds Thanksgiving as their high holiday, which I'm led to believe, and if you read the rumors about this supposed movie, it's supposed to take place in Plymouth.
That'd be wild.
Which
I mean,
is
some of those
like,
shots in the trailer.
I don't think it'll end up
looks-
being filmed.
It
in...
looks
It won't
like
be filmed in
though.
Plymouth. I don't think so, because I think he tried to get that done at one point. Like I think if you Google it,
Yeah, all those,
There was some-
all those
there was-
I
nerds
was
on
like-
the board of selectmen.
I was gonna say,
there
yeah.
was a decent
All
amount
those
of
people we
resistance
didn't vote for.
from Plymouth.
The people
well-
on the historical committee are like, no.
To be fair, I was
Fucking
not
losers.
living in Plymouth in 2007, so I can't comment on the selectmen then. But I'm sure they're nerds if they're rejecting.
No, this was
like,
recently.
How would this be a bad thing for
But
the
how would
town?
they be able to film The Witch?
At Plymouth Plantation.
But wouldn't
Or sorry,
be able to-
Plymouth Patuxent.
Plymouth Patuxent.
Maybe
But
because
they
it was
wouldn't
like
film
a
this
real.
movie there?
Maybe because it wasn't Eli Roth making the movie.
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, maybe. But because maybe it was an A24 artsy horror film.
Yeah, there could have been a lot more money involved
Yeah.
that didn't go
Yeah.
to
But also-
anything. And
So I guess my main point being, like, this is a movie that could be about a slasher attacking people at the Thanksgiving parade in Plymouth.
yeah.
And it might not name
That's heavy.
Plymouth in name,
Well,
but it might
that
be,
I-
like, inspired heavily by the Plymouth Thanksgiving parade, which is kind of a really cool thing.
I can see why
Interesting.
Plymouth might not want to have
That
that.
was just-
Associate
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
with the. Yeah, that, I can.
That I can understand, I guess, when you put it that way.
Like, is this going to
Well,
be like
Eli Roth
the
is from
Green
Massachusetts,
Inferno? 'Cause
He is,
if
he's
we
from
don't
Newton.
Really like that
Yep.
movie.
That's bullshit, though. That's like the city of New York not wanting to associate with fucking Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. It's so stupid. Like, nobody's going to...
That's
like,
not at all.
It's like
like-
a-
Nobody is going to... Okay. Let's say...
Home Alone 2 is a family-friendly
That's like
movie.
that's maybe Godzilla. I'll give you like Godzilla.
I was thinking Godzilla
Yeah.
when you first said that. I thought you were going to
Home Alone 2.
Let's say,
It's a
for
classic
instance... Okay.
family-friendly movie.
All right, but we're in the year of our Lord 2023 now, okay?
It's always the year
All right,
before.
horror,
My Lord, your
horror
Lord.
is huge,
Warlord?
okay?
Lord
Do you think that if Eli Roth were to shoot a Thanksgiving slasher movie in Plymouth, at least some parts of it, like, do you think that'd be a bad thing for tourism in Plymouth?
Hey, you
it
know
would not
what?
be.
I'll tell you what. If it is going to be filmed in Plymouth, I'm doing every goddamn thing I can to be in
Me
this fucking
too.
movie.
I'm
all,
Oh,
of
yeah.
us,
Yeah.
all of us. I've already tweeted at Eli Roth,
we
and I
write
have
him a
not gotten a
letter?
response.
So maybe we shouldn't trash him too much.
Well, I have a feeling he hasn't listened to our podcast, unless he is just trolling.
Just
for,
like I haven't seen most of his terrible movies, so
well,
it's fine.
I mean, I would say he has a few very good movies.
No, he has
Hostel
a
one,
few that I
Cabin
actually
Fever.
really do enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Green Inferno. I know
Green
you like,
Inferno
you
is
like
okay,
Green Inferno.
but I only like it because I love Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay, all right. Like what do you think is his best movie? Probably
Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But Hostel's also
Hostel. The first
Hostel
Hostel's good.
was-
It's good.
it had the production value, but like it's just It is what it is. But I think Cabin Fever is a scarier movie.
Maybe you have to rewatch
Yeah.
Cabin
Like
Fever.
it's, I think, and it's just a lot of fun, dude. It's just like a fucking splatter fest. That's just there's no rules. Hostel is very tight. It's and you can tell that there's a Tarantino like influence to it.
Absolutely.
So it's very clean which is crazy because it's not. It's a filthy, disgusting
It
movie,
is
but it's very
It's
cleanly
cleanly
made
produced.
and neat. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say when you watch Hostel, a lot of the language is very
Yeah, it doesn't hold up well.
It doesn't hold up well at all. It's very frat boy and cringy, but
Homophobic.
Yep, for sure. But it's a
Homophobic.
I think it's a good movie. It's a good movie. So yeah. Anyway, that's a movie called Thanksgiving that's going to be directed by Eli Roth, and who knows? Stay tuned. Could be set or could be about Plymouth. We
Cool.
shall see, and we'll have more on that as
Stay
we
tuned.
learn more. So, ladies, gentlemen, at this point, that's all I have for news.
Wait, ladies plural? Are
Lady,
you saying that Andrew's the
gentlemen.
lady?
Did I say ladies? I meant
Couldn't be me.
yes. Well,
Well, I mean, it's the nice haircut.
yes,
do
Andrew,
look very
Andrew
clean
did
cut.
cut off his mullet. I will say.
What?
Yeah.
Look
Got the
like
glasses
a real boy. I'm a real
on.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, real boy.
Sophisticated.
You're like a loser. It's 'cause
Let's
I
talk
shaved my
about
face, everyone.
let's talk about what we've been watching here, and I have a big one off the top that I think all four of us watched,
I believe
Yeah.
so.
and that is The Menu.
Yep.
Yes.
And I really debated texting the group thread and being like, "Dude, do we want to do an episode on this movie?"
I think at some point
I
it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah. The only reason I would say no is because the 2022 ship has sailed.
Yeah, I think
And
so,
we
too.
are.
I'm
we
ready to
are-
move forward.
Yeah,
so.
we're on to this year.
Yeah,
I'm
we
already
also-
overwhelmed thinking of like all these movies that I haven't seen
I
that
know.
have came out in the last 2 weeks.
know.
We also talk about movies from
Previous
1960s.
We
Yeah,
do.
that's true.
But
yeah,
We could do it at
I
some
think
point.
I'm just burnt out on 2022.
I can't fathom watching another movie from
For now,
2022.
yeah.
I feel like I blew up my
Well-
brain
Whatever
watching so
choose are
many.
Because
good.
I have three, including The Menu. I have three that I watched this week.
I have 3 as well.
But
one
so
else watched it,
what I
though.
will say, I thought The Menu was awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies I probably watched from last year. It probably would. I'm trying not to let recency bias skirt in. It might have slipped into my top 10. I'm not quite sure that it's as horror enough.
Yeah.
But what I will say, I would have absolutely mentioned Rafe Fiennes' performance in the best horror performances of the year because I think his performance in this movie
yeah.
was fantastic. Great actor. And also Anya Taylor-Joy, Andrew's girlfriend, absolute badass. And, I mean, this is not a spoiler because it's not telling what the ending is. The cheeseburger that she's eating at the end
Yeah,
is
It's
the
like the
best
best
looking
cheese
cheeseburger
ever.
I've ever seen
like
in
the
my
sexiest
fucking life.
cheeseburger
There
ever.
was a part in this movie that made me laugh out loud, wicked fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
John Leguizamo's character was super
Great.
funny.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a part I don't exactly remember what was happening, but like something extreme just happened. I don't want to spoil it because I know a lot of people still haven't seen this.
Yeah.
But something extreme happens, and one of the like food critic people are like saying like, "Oh, this is so like what they would do," and he just like looks at him. He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
So funny, dude.
It's so
Just
fucking good.
such a great critique of like food culture and foodies and.
The Brockton girl poll was.
Oh my
Oh
God!
my
I texted in the group.
I
Yeah,
know.
my name is whatever she actually
From
said her name was.
Brockton,
We don't
I'm
want to
from
say who it
Brockton,
is, but yeah.
Brockton,
So-
Massachusetts, and I was like the Leonardo
What a
DiCaprio meme from.
random-
I was like, I was like, holy shit!
What
I'm
a
from
random
Randolph.
fucking
I
call.
mean, for
Yeah.
her character though, they picked the right town in Massachusetts.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so I'm getting
I mean-
getting ahead of myself. So you guys, we all liked this movie to varying degrees, right? Thoughts,
Oh, I thought it was
thoughts on the
fantastic.
menu? Yeah.
Sarah watched this with me too. She liked it.
Good.
It
Yeah.
would be tough to put that in my top 10. I would have
Yeah.
a hard time putting it there just because it was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. So there was no surprises really. Like it was very well done, very well acted, great dialogue. I love the story. I love any movie that's food geared, like geared towards food and
With a
chefs.
moose.
Well, that's
Amuse
that's
bouche.
a new thing
And
right
full-
now,
full
where you're
mouth
getting
foods.
all these, you're
Horror.
getting all this content that's specifically about the like culinary.
Yeah.
arts.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah, I do too. I love
It's
cooking.
Yeah,
so,
that's like
yeah.
my favorite thing. And like you said, Rafe Fiennes, whatever his fucking name is.
Fine beans.
This might be his.
Lord
Fine
Voldemort.
Fiends.
I
Lord
feel like this
Voldemort.
might be.
Voldemort, yeah.
I think this is his best role since Francis Dollarhide.
Yeah, he
in
was
Red
good in that, too.
Dragon.
Yeah,
I thought
very
he was
good in that.
awesome in
Yeah.
that.
He was also in Schindler's List. He's been in some banger movies.
He was in The English Patient.
And The English Patient, both of which I think he won Oscars, if not just nominated.
I mean, he's a great actor. So, Kat, I know you also
telling your stupid story about the desert and just die already.
Kat, you also really enjoyed the menu as well,
I did.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I liked it. 2 thumbs way up.
Good.
Aw.
What's your
I
Yelp?
think
Give us your Yelp review.
I know. Oh, Yelp reviews.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole other animal than just 2 thumbs Yelp reviews. That's a lot more. Okay.
That's 4 stars.
Yeah, that's 4, 5, 4. 4 stars.
2 stars, 2 thumbs way up.
2 thumbs. Oh yeah, no, I
It's
really
5-star.
liked it. Yeah, 5.
Do you think this
star.
cracked your top 10 shell?
It would definitely be in my top 10. Yeah.
See, it would be close, but I don't. There's movies that are under my top 10 that I think are better than this. Therefore, I was like, well, then it can't be in my top 10.
Yeah.
It would be real tough.
The only
And see-
thing,
go ahead.
Mike or Andrew said that one thing that kind of, and actually there was one of my coworkers I was talking about the menu with too this week, and he was saying the same thing, that it was really predictable.
Yeah.
See, I didn't predict the ending.
Oh, I predicted. Well,
I didn't predict you were asking
I
for
knew
a
it was going
cheeseburger
to
at
be
the end.
something, though.
yeah, you kind of saw
Not necessarily
everything
what,
kind of
but
coming as it came.
The ultimate fate was there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair, I guess.
There was a few parts in the middle that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
there was a lot of
then-
scenes where I was like, wow, okay. Yeah.
They did a
Yeah.
really good job of like leading into a shocking moment
Yeah.
and then downplaying it with like a comedic relief, but not like super in your face or super right off the bat real
Yeah.
quick after.
Okay,
It was
but
like
it's-
subtly
oh,
and
yeah,
you're like,
because there was one.
I was laughing out loud multiple times during this.
There
movie.
was
It was
one,
very, very
there was
funny.
One part in the movie when,
Brilliantly
when they
written.
kind of figured out that they were gonna die, and it was John Leguizamo's like secretary or whatever she was. And she's like, "Well, why am I gonna die?" And he's like, "Where'd you go to school?" She goes, "Brown." And he goes, "Do you have any student debt?" And she goes, "No." He goes, "Bye." I was like, "Yep, I love it. Yep."
Yeah. Like
So
I
funny.
feel like one of the reasons I like this movie so much, I felt like, I'm obviously, I've said this in the podcast a few times, I'm a huge fan of Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace. I feel like this is the foodie horror movie that could have very easily been written by him as like a critique and takedown of like the uppity rich foodie culture.
it's super
very
on point.
snarky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very a ton of satire. And I feel like all of
Very pretentious.
the actors in it are doing such a great job of selling like the most unlikable douchebags that you've ever met.
I love the old couple that
Oh,
you get a good
yeah.
little glimpse at them, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, I saw Fred at the store." He's like, "How's he doing?"
Yeah, okay.
You know, Fred.
Yeah.
Like just like so fucking dull and just miserable, and it's just
Yeah.
like. But you think about it, you're like, there's easily 100 million old couples exactly like that
Exactly,
live
yeah.
in America.
The writing's very spot on.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, if you haven't seen the menu, skip ahead 30 seconds. It's just a very good parable and allegory for Eat the Rich. I think. Very much so.
It kind of reminds me of that Knives Out movie that I just watched.
Yeah,
watched it on
I would put it
Netflix.
in that league.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very high scale,
Yeah.
but also like it's a lot like what I was saying. Just went with filmmaking of clean. It's crisp, clean,
Yeah.
very sharp.
Yeah.
So
Perfect. There's 2 classes: those who serve and those who are served.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very,
Exactly what
very,
it is.
very, very well put. So
Anna
yeah.
Taylor-Joy is just continuously.
Dude,
Oh,
I
wrecking
think
ball.
she gets
Fucking
better with
girl.
every role that she
Do you,
does.
She's
do you
so
want to
good.
do you want to put your marriage proposal out in the air right now for her
I
to
think I've
hear?
done that before, and I
Yeah.
don't think she's interested.
Yeah, she's not.
I think her eyes are really far apart.
I love her eyes. That's like my
Being-
favorite thing.
I'm specifically stoked on how
I think
far
you. I think
apart.
Andrew is.
I think they could be.
She
further.
has.
I
She
think
has
they- I
eyes
don't
like a
I think they
doe.
could
She's
be
got
further.
doe-eyed,
She could be
just-
like a pug. Like,
She's gorgeous, but if there's some, I like look at her. I'm like, her eyes are like 4 inches apart.
All right. So that
They
is-
are pretty far
They
apart.
are far apart. They are a little bit far apart, but she's a stone cold fuck.
Wait, What's her name again?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
She was great in the Queen's Gambit, that show.
All right, so that's the menu, which you can now watch.
Arm far apart.
The
Hopefully
menu.
she's not listening and feeling bad about herself.
She's
now,
not
jerks.
listening.
They're-
If she is, Anya, hello.
yeah, I didn't realize that.
Anya,
She
Andrew
kind of looks
loves
like
you.
an alien,
Just
but I
take
like
her-
aliens.
Andrew will take you out for an amuse-bouche on a date, Anya, if you want
As
to
long as you don't say, I'll take you out for a cheeseburger.
And he'll give you a full mouthfeel after the amuse-bouche.
Oh my God.
Just wear sunglasses.
don't think
So
they make
okay,
sunglasses.
so that is called. All right. Let's stop talking about Anya Taylor-Joy's eyes. So that's called The Menu, which you can now watch on HBO Max if you haven't.
Yep.
And I would highly, highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah, it's a fun. That's a great Friday night.
Absolutely.
It's a perfect
blast.
fun movie.
Couple of drinks and edible on a Friday night. Watch that movie. You'll have a great time. Two things that I want to hit on, and then I think the third one, Kat's going to want to talk about real quick. So I did actually watch. I watched The Pale Blue Eye on Netflix, which is the new movie from, I believe it's Scott Cooper, who directed Antlers. He directed Black Mass. He directed Crazy Heart and Out of the Furnace. Mm-hmm. This is the Christian Bale starring movie where he is a detective. It's a period piece, a gothic period piece, where he's investigating a murder at a military academy in 1830, and one of the cadets at this military academy happens to be Edgar Allan Poe. So they find a way to weave that character into the story. The actor that plays Edgar Allan Poe, I forget his name. Apparently, he was in all the Harry Potter movies, playing Dudley something.
Do-Right?
Yeah,
I was like, there's no
Do-Right?
Dudley Do-Right in Harry Potter.
Not Dudley
Studley
Do-Right.
Dudley?
Dudley,
Isn't Dudley Do-Right?
Dudley Dingleberry or Dudley.
There's no Dudley Dingleberry.
Yeah, whatever the fuck. So anyway, he's very good as Edgar Allan Poe. The movie's okay. Again, I thought the plot was predictable. But the acting is good, and it's a beautiful looking movie. If you like gothic period pieces, wow, explosion. And I love Edgar Allan Poe stuff, so I want to check this out. It's on Netflix right now, so you can watch it for nothing.
Better or worse, because I haven't seen it, than The Raven with John Cusack.
Haven't seen The Raven with John Cusack.
Better or worse than like Sleepy Hollow?
Sleepy Hollow's better.
Okay.
Yes.
But is it
I
like
think by far.
vibe-wise?
Vibe is very, very similar.
Could you do a double feature with that?
I think it's actually
really
a
similar
great
vibe to Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow is very, obviously, much more Tim Burton-y
Burton-esque, yeah.
and much more schlocky. This is a very serious period piece.
What's a schlocky?
Schlocky's
just
like
kind of,
goofy,
yeah,
like
over the top.
over the top.
I love Sleepy Hollow.
I mean, this is very much like an actor's showcase. You have like, like the guy playing.
Does
Edgar
it get
Allan
into like Edgar Allan Poe's like stories at all, or is it just
briefly? It's almost
Yeah, I
like,
don't know if I like
so it's basically as if Poe was inspired to write the stories that he wrote based on what he experienced in this movie.
It's weird that came out right because I just watched that movie Raven's Hollow too, like a month ago, and that was the same idea, but like, meh.
Yeah, I gave it on Letterboxd like 3 out of 5. It's
3 out of
good.
5?
It's good. It's okay. It's like not great. It's good. It's worth watching though.
Maybe
for sure.
I'll start that this year. It's my
Check it
New
out.
Year's resolution. A letterbox.
You should, because you don't even remember what you watched.
Letterboxd is cool.
I also watched, Andrew, I know you're number 10 on your top 10 of 2022. I watched Hatching on Hulu finally.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Thought it was pretty dope.
Yeah.
I will say it kind of lost me as the more you progress through the movie as the creature devolved into what she devolves into, because the creature effects were fucking incredible.
Yeah, those were
oh
wild.
My God. Yeah, what a demented story though. The characters, aside from the main girl, are just so unlikable, and it's just it's a good movie. Check it out.
You end up getting
It's on
that
Hulu.
you end up getting that Cartman with a goatee vibe.
Yeah, pretty much. And last but certainly not least, and I know Kat will probably want to chime in on this, and then you can talk about what you've watched if you have anything. We talked about this last week briefly. Not necessarily horror, but horror adjacent and very Black Mirror-ish. We finished the first season of Severance on Apple TV, and it is unreal. It's so fucking good. Like, I would recommend it to both of you guys, to anyone that's listening. I think up there on par with some of the best episodes of Black Mirror. The season finale fucking blew my mind. It was incredible. Very, very sci-fi, very Black Mirror, very Westworld. Not quite horror, even though there are some very creepy things in the finale. Like, very creepy, weird shit.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, all the acting's on point between Adam Scott, John Turturro, Christopher Walken. They're all great. I know not a lot of people have Apple TV+. This is the reason to try it out for a week. Get a free trial, binge Severance, and come back to me. That's what I got. Kat, further thoughts on Severance or anything else that you watched?
I don't know. I didn't write down, and usually I write them down when I watch them, so I don't.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think of Severance?
Severance was awesome. Yeah, I really liked it. I like Adam Scott. Yes, Adam Scott.
It was very interesting to see him playing such an awesome dramatic role, because he's so usually known for comedy.
Is he an asshole?
No.
No, he's
No?
actually
Okay.
very likable.
Because he usually plays like a really
Dick.
wicked dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very likable in this. His
Yeah.
character's
Other
very
than, like,
sympathetic.
Parks and Rec, that's the only
Right.
he's like likable in that show.
Kind of a prick in that too.
little bit.
Kind of, I guess.
But yeah, I would actually, I'm on the same page as Mud. I totally recommend it. I
Yeah.
thought it was awesome. Definitely has Black Mirror.
I thought you just said his name was
vibes.
Mud.
I thought you said Mud too. My name is Mud.
I was like, Mud? Is that
No.
Mike's nickname? Mud Mike?
Mud, Walshy Worm,
Mud Bob
Mike.
Mud? the fuck is
Mike,
Mud?
Boo Boo. I think I was
These
just
are the
like,
worms.
yeah.
Mudworm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, I think anyone should watch
Mikey
it
Mudworms.
because it was I
Anyone
agree
should
with
watch it.
Mikey
Okay.
Mud and
Mikey
the
Mud.
Funky Bunch.
Mikey Mud and the
Mikey
Duds.
Mud and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah.
Wow, that's my worm group name. Apparently now. Okay,
Like
Matt,
Worms and the
Andrew,
Muddy Bunch.
take it away with what you guys watched.
I actually, I all I had was the menu. I watched a bunch of football this week.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, grab
Some
some
good
chips.
games on, too.
Yeah, and I did see the Outwaters trailer came out today, and you know what it was? It was kind of like the trailer we saw in theaters, Andrew.
Okay.
Where it was very much critic based, teasery, but they did release that it will be out February 9th. So that's cool.
That's definitely that in theaters.
Yeah, that's what I want to make. And then I know we have Skinamarink is doing its little mini thing.
Release
I
date.
guess it's going to be on Shudder later this year. Hopefully,
Yeah, later
that,
this year. Hopefully that means like
I'm hoping that this kind
I
of
hate
gets
when
the
they say that.
Terrifier 2 treatment and like it just
keeps
maybe
playing.
next
and then
weekend I
maybe
can go
it
see
ends
it.
up going like
yeah.
more local.
I can't make it this weekend. I know.
Yeah, I can't either.
Which
sucks.
But those are two big early 2023 anticipations that I have. I've heard a lot about them. I've heard they're both really fucking like it's big sensory horror where you're kind of getting almost assaulted.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot. So and the endings are pretty gut punchy, which I like. But those are my two big anticipations. And then
And Winnie the
yeah, the Winnie the Pooh movie's
Oh yeah,
coming out.
that's right. That's in February.
Blood and Honey.
You gonna watch that
So-
with Bridget? She likes Winnie the Pooh right now.
I don't think she would like that movie though.
Yeah. Well, they just put out a new poster that's like a girl in a thong with like hog-tied like in front of a car with headlights on.
No.
Yeah, it looks pretty ridiculous and legit.
I'm
so.
gonna have to see that in theaters.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
oh, yeah,
I'll
oh, yeah.
if it has a wide enough release, I'll see it. I mean, that's not something I'm about to go to like AMC. In
I'm not
Cambridge
gonna
to see.
drive out of my
But
way
yeah.
to see that movie. But if it's in Kingston or
Yeah, or even like Braintree.
I'd go to
yeah.
Braintree. Hanover has those new movie theaters going
Yeah.
too. So hi Otis.
But other than that, yeah, that's really all I got just for my little tidbit of squiggly fun.
Squiggly fun. Squiggly.
Skinamarink. I don't know. It's got me feeling fucking Dr. Seussy.
Schooly or whatever it was.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
Scully? Scoliosis?
Yes, scoliosis.
Scoliosis.
What'd you watch, Andrew?
Well, I watched The Menu. Obviously, we talked
Yeah.
about that. And then I watched Joe Dante's The Burbs.
Nice.
I rewatched that from the 80s. Tom Hanks, Carrie Fisher, Bruce Dern, who's fucking amazing in that movie. He's probably the best character in that movie. Just a fun, like...
Lighthearted,
Almost like
warm-hearted
a-
movie.
Yeah, it's just like a family...
It's
like,
very Gremlins-y.
Yeah, Gremlins-y. Just like a gateway horror movie for like younger kids, I think. But maybe not really.
Still haven't seen this,
It's
by the
pretty
way.
funny,
I need
too.
to
It's
watch
fucking hilarious.
It's
That
enjoyable.
movie makes me laugh. I watch that movie every like 2 years, and it never gets old.
it. I know
Yeah.
you said that I would love this.
You,
No, you would
that's, that's a
absolutely
good.
love this
That's a
movie.
good like Beetlejuice
Yeah,
double feature.
it's
style.
just well acted. Stupid. What is it? Is it Corey Feldman that's in that one too? Is that his name, or is it Corey? It's Corey Feldman. It's
Feldman, yeah.
Feldman's
Him,
in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just a stupid, funny
Feldman.
movie. Just watch it if you haven't seen it. It's on Netflix now. That's why I watched it. I love like end of the world disaster movies like that. So I watched Moonfall, which came out last year. That movie was fucking terrible. What an awful movie. And the guy that directed it directed like
That's
a bunch
crazy. It
of-
looks so good.
It looks.
That's a Roland Emmerich movie.
It looks like exactly no. It looks exactly what you would expect it to be, which is this overdone disaster movie, but it's fun.
FX has the movie.
Except it had none of that. It was just boring and terrible. And it was like, yeah, he did Independence Day.
Yeah,
he
that's
did
I'm saying that's a Roland Emmerich movie. So he directed Independence Day
Yeah.
and a bunch of other
disaster movies.
Which
And it was
Independence Day is also pretty boring. Like it's kind of a slow
it's
movie.
Not
That's a hot take.
this is a whole other level of just bad. Like
I don't
love
think Independence Day is bad, but
No,
it's
I'm saying,
not-
but like
it's-
this isn't.
It's kind of it's long. It's kind of slow.
Yeah, but it's at least entertaining. It's funny. There's nothing.
There's drama.
There's something to it.
Goldblum, Judd Hirsch, Will Smith, Bill Pullman
before he
as
was
the
annoying.
best president that we never had.
I mean, right? Yeah.
This,
I mean, this had like.
is our Independence Day. The pride of UMass
Bill
Amherst.
He also
Bill
did
Pullman.
2012. Roland Emmerich. He did Day After Tomorrow, which I like that movie.
Yeah. Jake
Yeah,
Gyllenhaal.
Tomorrow's cool.
Yeah, it's those type of movies, but this was just terrible. So don't watch it. And then I watched. I think it was 1983. Possession.
81.
81. Possession.
Say you two can talk
And,
about this for a while, right?
Talk about a movie that just makes you feel like a child watching their parents scream at each other for a solid, like, the first hour of this movie is just uncomfortable. I mean, the whole movie's uncomfortable, but the first hour is just this argument after argument after argument. And it's just like the most intense
worse and worse
It's the most
every
intense
time,
arguments
yeah.
I've ever seen. And I'm like, what is going on? It's just so toxic and it's just so unnerving. I had to turn it down like 10 times because I was like, my neighbors probably wondering what the fuck is going on in
called
here.
cops on you,
It was
yeah.
so loud, but it is just very well done, very well acted. Sam Neill's amazing. What was her name again?
It's Isabel Arajani or something.
She
like
was
that.
fantastic because she
She's-
pretty much
she's
played. She
gorgeous,
played two
too.
roles, and she is
yeah.
a
Stone Cold
fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is extremely.
I mean, she's
attractive.
married to Sam Neill, who's a stud, so I'm not surprised.
Isabel Arajani, yeah.
Sam Neill. This is the worst Sam Neill has ever looked in a movie, though.
It's one of his first
Yeah,
movies.
he had to be like
He was
22
young.
or
He was in
something.
his
yeah.
20s, yeah.
He looked very young, but he got better looking with age. Like he's like a fine wine.
I was just gonna say like a fine wine.
Say, here's the plot.
I don't
He was
really
kinda- he
know
was kinda,
what
like,
the fuck this
dorky.
movie was about. I know it was about, a toxic relationship, divorce, like an allegory or whatever for like that, and like you're dealing with your guilt and this pain. But it's just like you were saying, it's got H.P. Lovecraft vibes, it's got Hellraiser vibes, it's got all sorts
Cronenberg
of
vibes.
wild
Give
vibes.
me all that.
Oh, it's
Dude,
good.
you would like this,
you
but
would like
I'm
it
gonna
is
watch
it
it.
is confusing.
It's
Okay.
extreme.
kind of
Don't
like-
try to figure out what the movie is even about.
All right,
At
fair
least
enough.
not on the first watch. Like,
No.
and it's a movie I've watched 3 times straight through, and I have what I would say is a pretty solid grasp on what it is, but I don't like explaining it because so many people haven't seen it, and I'd rather people just watch it
Just
For what it is.
Yeah, like, and have zero idea or anything, and then they could be like, okay, well, because it's very up for interpretation.
100%.
And so that's why, and it's very brilliantly acted. Like I was saying to Andrew, this is the best acting out of any 80s horror movie, period.
Yeah, you're probably right on that.
Period.
Okay.
Absolutely, without question.
Well, I mean,
Great practical effects too in this movie.
The practical effects are
Fantastic.
insane. There is a very wild scene that this movie is known for. That it's got to be the number one, if not the second most notorious subway scene of all cinema history.
Yeah.
We're talking about Irreversible, but
okay.
it's a wild fucking movie.
So this movie's kind of been the talk of the horror town for a little while because it just debuted on Shudder, and I feel like there's a whole new generation of people that are discovering this movie. I would like to count myself among one of them when I do watch it, and this is directed by Andrei Zulakowski or
Zulawski.
Zulawski. Sorry about that.
Zulakowski.
And here's the plot. A woman starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after asking her husband for a divorce. Suspicions of infidelity soon give way to something much more sinister, which is a very generic plot description. So
yeah.
To say the least.
yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you're talking about this movie.
Yeah,
It's like-
it has a lot to do with manifestation and symbolic
it's
manifestation.
extremely.
Yeah, if you've seen The Brood,
I have. Yeah, Cronenberg. Yeah.
keep that like. This movie is the roast beef to the mashed potatoes you have in the side of your cheek.
Wow. Okay. Wow,
Okay.
that's quite an allegory.
Yeah.
My goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna have to check out
So
Possession.
just keep you know what I mean, like kind of keep that idea of that movie.
Cat,
keep
Cat's
that-
like
Keep
Cat's
that
like,
idea
I
like
like roast
in the
beef
back
and
of your
mashed
mind.
potatoes.
They both go
I
really
was
well
always
together.
thinking, I'm
Yeah,
like,
they
They
You're
meld
gonna
well
get-
together in your
Cat's
mouth.
like,
I want
Cat's
some.
like, what's the
where's the
au
gravy,
jus?
though?
Yeah, what's the
Yeah,
Where's
gravy?
the
where's the
gravy?
gravy? That's my first question.
I'm like, where's the popovers and all that shit?
Fuck
anyway, all right,
popovers.
yeah, popovers
Ooh,
are great
I
actually. Fuck you.
kinda like popovers.
like a burnt piece
all
of
right,
bread.
so that's called Shudder. It's called Possession, which you can now stream
Called Shutter.
on Shudder. Yes,
Is that what
yes.
you said?
Sorry, excuse me. Pardon me. Sometimes I might misspeak. All right. Anyone watch anything else?
No.
All right. Hey, why don't we take a quick break before we get a word from our sponsors? We'll be back in 90 seconds.
It's official. The critics' decision is in.
Spooky World is spooktacular.
Enter the new black hole.
If you dare.
Or the new horror House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. Phone the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200.
It's America's horror theme park. Spooky World.
Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I got berry-flavored sweeties for monster strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
Sleepy Clovers.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
The new face of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's killer this year. Then be next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
And we're back.
Andrew, good job. It's almost as if you knew right when to say that. And we're back indeed.
Look at him go.
Ladies, gentlemen, now we're here talking about our topic of the evening.
You took your thing.
Yeah, you did steal my line. which we're talking about a movie called Black Sabbath, which I don't know about you guys.
Not the band.
Not the band, but related to the band, which I'll bring up in a little bit.
Oh.
So the first I had heard about this movie was when I watched Shudder's 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments, and this was moment number 97. So I can safely say this is a movie that I had not heard of or seen before. It's directed by Mario Bava, who is a very famous Italian director.
Love it.
One of the innovators of the Giallo genre. And, so we're going to talk about this movie because it is definitely an anthology. Fits into Janthology. This movie was suggested by Matt, and it came out in the year 1963.
Almost 50 years
60
old.
Wild.
years. 60.
Wild.
Oh, almost 60 years old. Holy shit. Yeah, you're right. Fuck.
I was like, that's
I forgot
60 years
it's
old.
2020.
That's
huh?
so fucking old.
2023.
That's
What
wild.
I
2020
will
is,
say, watching this movie last night, it felt like a bit of a slog at an hour and a half.
Slog.
Slog.
Did we
Slow,
use that
slow,
word?
slow. That's slow.
What was the other word?
There's an S word. Sloth or sleuth.
Yeah.
It was an S word.
Using these
Swagger.
slothy words.
Jesus Christ.
He's using a lot of worm words.
Slurry.
Mike's a worm word.
Slithering.
It was thickened with a slurry.
It's a slurry. Anyway, so this is
Cornstarch slurry.
We watched
obviously
the menu one time.
what I will say before I defer to Matt, because this was his suggestion, I am on board for anything involving Boris Karloff, and he is in this movie. So Matt, talk to me about Black Sabbath. Why'd you pick it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What'd you think about it? And take it away.
So I'd only seen this movie one time before. I wanted to do something a little different because I knew we were doing the anthology thing. You guys know I have quite the love for Italian horror movies.
Yes.
So,
You do.
Mario Bava, being the director of one of my all-time favorites, is Black Sunday, which is just the best horror movie of the 60s, if I do say so myself. But aside from that, Mario Bava paved the way for quite a lot of Italian horror, to put it just neat and tidy with a bow on it. But I love this anthology. I think it's fucking great. You know what I like about it? There's no wraparound. It's a fucking hammers the next story into the next one, and then you call it a day. There's only 3. You got a nice short little fucking slasher one at the beginning. Mm-hmm. You have a really good, which I think is the best one of the movie in the middle. that's very good with Boris Karloff in it, and it's very creepy. And then you have these, which I would say is the scariest one at the end.
Wrapping it up.
To really tie it in and nail it. And that one's also a little shorter, but it's fucking good. And it's creepy. It's very Tales from the Crypty.
Yeah, it's very Edgar Allan Poe-y.
Yeah, it kind of hits every little
anthology.
This anthology hits every corner of horror to me. For the most part, and in terms of what was really going on in like 60s horror too, especially.
So it's interesting you say Poe because actually, so these stories are inspired by actually a couple of classic writers, Anton Chekhov and Alexei Tolstoy. These stories.
Is that so? I was going to say earlier. So the last one, is that because did he write like the necklace or the pearl necklace or there's something with a necklace? I remember some Russian short story about a necklace, and it reminded me of the last one with the ring, and I can't remember if that's...
Not sure. I'm not sure. I just saw in my notes that it was inspired by stories from those two. So with that being said, Kat, what did you think about Black Sabbath? I know you watched it for the first time last night.
I have my overall thoughts written down. So
Okay.
Can Mike read them? It's way better when Mike reads them.
Okay.
No.
Like
actually, it is very funny.
Yeah.
She's here, though.
Can I just read it?
No, she's
Okay,
here,
the
though.
overall thoughts are on the bottom.
Just read them to yourself and let her say.
On the bottom.
It's just funny when someone else reads them because it's just there's
an element of surprise to it.
Yeah. The
Okay,
bottom.
I'll read
The rest of them are notes.
Let's see. Overall thoughts. Fun movie. Not scary. I'd watch it again. I feel like it's off those movies is like almost better the second time around.
One of those movies.
I didn't like the whole dubbed. I didn't like the whole dubbed and mouths not matching up.
Yeah, that's my notes.
You know what's funny is that when the first time I watched it,
this should be a segment of the show. Mike reads Kat's thoughts.
The first time I watched this, it used to be on Shudder.
Yeah,
and so this is an Italian movie.
This was literally just on Shudder,
which is why it was featured on the 101 scariest movie.
It had to have gotten taken off.
I've scrolled by it about 8 times.
It had to have gotten taken off January 1st. And so when I first watched it, Italian movies back in the day, whether they were in English, filmed in English, recorded in English, they're dubbed. They didn't have the same sound from the live set as they did in the movie. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. So it's just how they did them.
So was it recorded in English and then dubbed
It's filmed in English, but it was also the one there's a version that I watched before that's filmed in English, dubbed over again in English. It's just how they did it.
Because they couldn't get the sound quality
it's just how they did it.
From the people being, you know what I mean?
And so, but this one is filmed, and it's the same thing. It's filmed the way it is in English, but it's dubbed in Italian. And then there's English.
I didn't really have an issue with that.
No, I didn't care at all.
I could because a lot of those people had mush mouths and were barely moving their mouths anyway when they spoke.
Honestly,
I was watching for it and it was like, no.
The English dub on a lot of the Italian movies is like very lackluster in terms of emotion and like conveying anything. Yeah. So when it's in another language, that element kind of goes out the door, and it's just in another language anyway. Okay. So it kind of just like I can take it a little bit more seriously, and then I can just read the subtitles and call it a day.
All right.
So, one thing I thought I learned about this when I watched the movie, now I forgot immediately, was I was like, oh, I know the Italian word for hello because they say it 8,000 times.
Eventually they
and
stopped
now I forget
dubbing.
What
a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, a lot of phone calls. Hello,
especially
hello,
in the first segment. Yeah.
So another thought I had.
Sure.
They had very elaborate sets, like the architecture and stuff in the rooms was very like very elaborate. Like even in the bedroom in the first scene with like the little like cast iron like divider thing and like all the curtains. The second one is in like a little village. Yes, the second one, but like they did like kind of a lot with the
even
whole
like the
scenery,
woods,
the
woods in the second.
Well, then you see at the end when it ends before the credits, and you have it kind of zoom out.
That was so weird. That was so weird. That didn't fit.
Oh yeah, the guy
was cool.
When Boris Karloff's on the horse and he's
like, but then they have like you see like the set.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and at one point I think you see the top of like a wall and there's something behind it and you're like, what? Like, you're kind of looking at her like, that's...
I feel like you had to put more effort into that type of stuff back then because you didn't have CGI. That's all you had.
The third one, like, I mean, they had, like, the huge ceilings and the big doors, and, like, it was crazy. Like, the amount of detail in it was kind of nuts.
Mario Bava has often been referred to as, like, one of, like, the master or the godfather of Italian horror, right? So he was one of the innovators in the Giallo genre, as they say in Italian. And is anyone here Italian, by the way? Kat and I certainly are.
I have a little Italian.
A little bit in Andrew, okay. So if I fuck up my Italian accents, Andrew, get me a Miller Lite. Forgive me. But he was also Giallo. He was one of the pioneers of the Giallo genre, and you can see the hallmarks of that in this movie. The bright purple and pink hues in the background, like the elaborate sets, the beautiful settings with schlocky. Again, schlocky, there's that word. That's a word. It's a word.
Did you just learn about that word?
Look it up.
Schlocky and sloppy?
Look it up. Look it up. Look it up.
Sloppy and shocky. That's like
look it up, you simpletons. Schlocky is a word. Schlock. Schlock.
Mike was reading a review about this movie and someone used that word and he was like,
no, absolutely not. No, it's a word. It's a word. It's a word.
It's not going to be like on my Wordle today.
So if you watch some of the more famous Giallo films after the fact, you will see certain elements that are similar to this movie. This movie came out in 1963, and Giallo, Matt, you know better than me, probably came out and like rose to fame in the 70s and 80s, right?
Big time in the 70s, right. But it was creeping up in the 60s.
Okay, so you can see the elements of that genre in this film, and this is definitely one of the reasons why.
There's a couple things I want to say about Giallo. It's very specific. So these are always slasher murder mysteries. You never know who's doing the killing. They're always very gory. They're always going to have beautiful Italian women. It's always a sharp object stabbing type deal. You're going to see black gloves. You're going to see knives or sewing needles or some sort of sharp penetrating. Some sort of...
Someone's getting strangled.
Those are like the very specific tropes that encapsulate what Giallo is and was and somewhat continues to be. Every once in a while you have kind of like Malignant almost had this kind of Giallo inspired feel to it. And obviously Dario Argento's last movie that just came out this year,
Dark Sunglasses.
Did you end up watching that?
I haven't gotten to it. I will. But that was Giallo. And so it was a very big and important and appreciated subgenre of Italian horror. And it's very recently found a new love through all these re-releases through Arrow and Scream Factory and this, that, and the other thing. And so...
well, you would think that after the love that slasher movies get, like, how would you not get
genre? Cool, they're just and they're just so much more sophisticated than American slashers.
American slashers.
So I'm glad you brought up Malignant because I was going to say, so like for modern audiences that might not know much about this particular subgenre of Italian horror, I would say the two most popular horror movies that have come out in the last 5 years that I think probably draw from this genre the most. Malignant, which again, I think Malignant is one of the best 5 horror movies in the last decade. Unbelievable movie. That and also, surprisingly, Last Night in Soho has a lot of Giallo vibes.
Mystery-wise, yes.
And I think like the color scheme and like the murder mystery, that type of stuff is very on par with that type. And I think Edgar Wright also said that he was inspired by films like that. You can see it. So I think if you're looking for more mainstream movies that can kind of turn you on to this genre, like those two are
Neon Demon's pretty good. I like that movie.
Neon Demon's also very good too. That's a Panos Cosmatos movie, I believe.
I couldn't find it.
Panos Cosmatos.
The guy who did Mandy and the viewing episode of Cabinet of Curiosities, I believe.
For anyone that's curious about Giallo and they want to try and dip their toes, some of
Matt's the expert here.
The very popular ones you can check out that are on Shudder are Deep Red, Tenebrae, Opera, and I mean you could call Suspiria kind of has a dance with Giallo. It is Dario Argento. But if you go on Shudder, they have a massive collection. A lot of them have like really long names. It's like the cat with 9 tails. And The bird with the crystal plumage. That's another really good one.
Yeah.
It's like any pop punk band song name from the
kind
2000s.
of, yeah. It really is. But if you check those out, they're all very entertaining. Tenebrae especially was extremely fun to watch. I was invested in it the whole time.
Or even if you look at some of Mario Bava's other filmography, right? Like so, and again, I haven't
Black
seen
Sunday.
any of these movies, but like, so for example, he's most famously known for like movies like The Girl Who Knew Too Much, Blood and Black Lace, and Planet of the Vampires, which Ridley Scott has admitted in interviews was a direct influence on Alien.
Huh.
So
Even though he didn't write it.
Yeah, exactly. So, those types of things.
Did you know, just this is a side, totally off the rails fun fact,
No,
Dan O'Banion wrote Alien, and he directed Return of the Living.
did not know that. Did not know either of
Did
those
not
things.
know that.
Interesting.
There you go.
Interesting. Did you guys know what the I know you don't know what the Italian title of this movie was? I'm sorry. Did you know? Did you know what it was in Italian?
No, the burp was like a Homer burp.
Yes.
That's why I
Yeah,
said
Sunday
Barney.
yeah.
It was
Mia.
I Tre Volti della Pora,
It
which
shows
means
up at the very beginning.
the three faces of death. That's what it means in Italian.
I think Black Sunday's Italian release title was The Mask of the...
I mean, the first segment has to be the first horror movie, basically, that don't answer the phone.
It could be.
I mean, I can't, like, 1963?
Yeah.
There were phones even around before that? Yeah, I mean, they were, but, like, I feel like that's the first one.
I mean, The Mask of the Devil fits because all three things have.
Well, Mask of the Devil's a different movie, but yeah.
Oh.
That's Black.
Well,
that's Black Sunday.
I was gonna say because this movie, there's beady eyes in every single one of those scenes and different.
If you get
really
a chance, watch
big
Black
eyes.
Sunday. It's Barbara Steele. It's a fantastic black and white supernatural witch movie.
Okay.
It's very, very.
One thing I was going to say about this movie, because I know we're still like kind of just riffing on this a little bit. It's definitely like when you watch it, feels a bit dated, but it doesn't feel like
60 years old.
It is 60 years old, but it's still scary. I mean, like
You
there are
said
parts
you-
of
It's
it that
creepy.
are very creepy and scary.
You said
like
you
the
hated the music though. I
the
liked
music. The music I felt took you out of the story because the music was very
Upbeat.
yes, right. Like I thought.
That's
all
just,
right,
dude. That's
I'm,
every Italian horror movie. Ever.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed that. But also,
Even if you watch Day of the Dead,
yeah.
because when Romero was doing those movies, they were heavily involved with Argento.
Yep.
And there's a scene in Day of the Dead when they're running through the tunnel in the dark. It's the girl and the electrician.
Yep.
And there's like a guitar solo playing during it, and it's just like super. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it's just like that's the way that Italian films were made.
Maybe like a re-release with these movies with just like different music. That'd be kind of cool.
Dude, honestly, like
It doesn't
I
bother
think you
me.
have to just leave.
But it'd be wild if they put in like some weird like synth. It's like, yeah.
Speaking of music, so we talked about
music.
the band. This movie's called obviously Black Sabbath.
Correct.
What's the most famous iteration of the words Black Sabbath?
War
The
Pigs.
band.
Yep, Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, who I've seen on
War
Ozfest
Pigs.
a
Yes.
couple of times.
Like
War
Black
Pigs.
Sabbath. War Pigs.
So this film serves as an inspiration for the naming of Black Sabbath in 1968. So, my God, talk about one of the great renamings of a band of all time. Does anybody know what Black Sabbath's original name was?
White
Pink
Rest
Sunday.
Day.
Good guesses. No, Matt.
No, I have no idea.
Earth. That was their name.
Wind
Earth.
and Fire.
I was gonna say Wind
No,
and Fire.
not Wind and Fire, just Earth.
Earth.
Well, Black
Earth.
Sabbath's
Welcome to Earth. So basically,
But
Earth.
with an F
No,
or a
with
PH?
no, Earth with a TH. With a TH.
With
So
a TH.
um,
Oh, not a PH.
I would have
I
to
was
bet.
just saying.
I would have to say the
Earth
best
would be
renaming
cool
was
with
ever
PH.
Ron
It
Artest
was
changed his
Earth
name to
with a-
Meta World
Meta
Peace.
World Peace.
You
So,
are
yeah,
PH.
I mean, let's be real.
You are PH. That would be great.
Okay.
Derp, Steven.
So, Earth in 1968 happened to be playing a concert at a venue across the street from where Black Sabbath was playing. The band noticed that there were more people in line to see the movie than there were in line to see their show. So basically, they had the mindset that, hey, horror sells tickets, and they decided to rename themselves Black
Were
Sabbath.
they still like doing the same music though?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Surprising,
Dude,
this
I
movie
love
underperformed in
Black
theaters,
Sabbath
too.
is a
did.
hell of a fucking name.
yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I
mean,
thought that was interesting because obviously when you think of the name Black Sabbath, you think of the band. Anyway.
If it was URPH though, I mean it's too modern for that time. That
It'd
might
be-
have drawn a little bit of attention.
I don't know if copyright-wise you're able to, but at the beginning of this episode, you should put the Black Sabbath, the song Black Sabbath.
I'd love to do that.
To open the episode.
War Pigs.
Well, there's a song called Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath off an album called Black Sabbath.
Not every song is called War Pigs.
Believe it or not, from what I understand,
Paranoid.
that's the first song ever recorded to use a tritone, which is supposed to be like an evil sounding.
I prefer evil sounding chords.
Yeah. Okay. Want to talk about 1963 horror real quick?
Yeah.
Because there was one big release that everybody's heard of, and that's Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
The Birds.
Came out in 1963.
Oh, The Birds.
That's a movie that still holds up very, very well.
I love that movie.
Awesome movie.
My mom says that's the scariest movie she's ever seen.
It's funny you say that. My mom said the same thing. My mom
Maybe they saw it together.
My mom was very young when she saw it, and she specifically remembers the scene where the birds peck the guy's eyes out, and he's sitting there with no eyes. She said that it gave her nightmares for weeks. And this was in.
As someone that's been attacked
My mom
by
was
seagulls,
not born
I can.
yet.
That movie is very scary.
Can you regale the tale of you getting attacked by seagulls?
Yes,
I feel like
let's
this is
talk
good
about it.
content.
I
I was
was like-
probably 8 years old down in Florida. We were going to Busch Gardens, but we were staying in St. Pete. It's around the beach. My drunk parents were down at Barnacle Bill's, getting hammered with their friends while they let us children just
Sounds about right.
do what children
good.
do.
Meaning you and
I mean,
Seth.
And I'm just walking
Seventh
down
Day.
the beach with my Cheetos. And I drop a Cheeto on the ground, and a seagull flew over and grabbed it, and then fucking like 50
million of
fucking
them.
seagulls attacked. I was running for my life. They're like, Dude, that was horrifying.
So wait, you didn't drop the Cheetos though, right? You kept them and fuck you.
I threw the Cheetos and ran for my life. Because
Wait,
they were,
so then-
That's what they wanted.
They were huge.
Wait, so then did you go back to your parents and be like, I got cheese with seagulls? They're like, it's okay, honey.
No, because they would have been like, what are you doing here? We're drinking.
Well, yeah.
Well, anyway, The Birds came out in 1963. In addition to Black Sabbath, we also have, and I'm not going to pretend that I've seen any of these movies, by the way. If anyone's
I might
seen
have
any
seen a
of these,
handful of
Matt,
them,
you probably you're the most likely.
It's a little too early for Dr. Phibes. I think.
If you've seen any of these movies, let me know.
Probably would say the same
Let's see.
thing. Good job.
Black Zoo.
Nope.
Like-
The Blancheville Monster.
Nope.
Blood Feast.
Yes. Herschel Gordon Lewis?
Yes, it is.
yeah.
Wow. Nice pull. Nice pull. The Comedy of Terrors. Terrors.
I have not seen
Dementia 13.
that. That's Francis Ford Coppola.
Sure is. Wow, man. Good
Seen
job.
that too. That's a great fucking movie.
Diary of a Madman. The Ghost.
Boo.
That could be any.
The Haunted Palace. The Haunting, which
The Hauntings
Is
is
that
a big
the one
it's a big one.
Price?
Yep. Nope. Sorry. Nope.
Is that William Castle?
Catherine Zeta-Jones?
It is directed by Robert Wise.
Oh, okay.
Catharsis, The Kiss of the Vampire, Matango, The Old Dark House, Paranoiac, The Raven, directed by Roger Corman with Vincent Price.
I've probably seen that.
Good
because it's a
evening,
Vincent
that one
Price
I've seen.
movie, yeah.
Slime People, The Terror.
That sounds good.
Again, directed by Roger Corman.
The Terror, is that anything
Roger
to do with
Corman
the,
and-
is that based
That's
off people
starring
like,
Jack Nicholson.
is that like sea folk people, like captains on ships?
Let's see.
Like the one we
The
saw
Terror.
with
Because there's that
the,
AMC show called The Terror. And
We
I
Terror.
watched
watched that.
That was a great show, actually. Terror is a 1963 American independent horror film produced and directed by Roger Corman. Film stars Boris Karloff and Jack Nicholson, the latter of whom portrays a French officer who is seduced by a woman who is also a shape-shifting devil.
Sounds pretty good to
Never
me.
seen it. I'll watch the shit
the
on
Terror,
that, though.
Is that show good?
Yeah, we watched that a while. They had two
Two seasons. The first season was way better than the second season.
and they were very good.
Both very good.
Terrifying.
Yes.
To close the loop on
Terrifying.
1963, Tomb of Torture, Twice Told Tales, The Virgin of Nuremberg, and The Whip and the Body, another Mario Bava
I think I've seen Twice Told Tales. I think that's another
Vincent Price.
anthology Vincent Price one.
Vincent
Yeah.
Price.
Mario Bava, like
Good
Cassio
evening.
Pepe.
Good evening. Cacio Pepe.
Cacio Pepe. Cacio Pepe.
A gabagool. Yeah, what I
Cacio
mean.
Pepe.
Yeah.
I was making this joke the other day because me and Sarah got dinner in the North End for her birthday, and I was like,
yeah.
I can't wait to go to an Italian restaurant and confidently look at waiter in the
Gabagool.
eyes and say, I'll have the gabagool.
Gabagool. Yeah.
The Gabagool.
You didn't get the Cassio
The gabagool.
I had veal salt and boca.
Ooh, yum. Yum.
Can't go wrong with
podcast
veal,
favorites.
salt, and
Oh my God.
We
mocha.
split a bottle of Chianti.
Oh, very.
Some fava
fucking
beans?
Nice. Oh.
No fava beans.
Yeah. Fava bean. Which restaurant you go to?
Cantina Italiana on
Very nice.
Hanover Street.
Very
Because I know two of them.
Very
Yeah,
Besides,
it's on
like-
Hanover Street. That's from what I was told. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Lady and gentlemen, did you know that Black Sabbath was one of Quentin Tarantino's biggest influences when he was writing Pulp Fiction?
No, that's crazy, and that's Pulp Fiction's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yep, Tarantino cites this movie as one of his biggest influences. The film influenced Tarantino and Roger Avery when they were writing Pulp Fiction.
I wonder if it had anything to do with Uma Thurman's overdose.
1994. Well, obviously, I think essentially Pulp Fiction is an anthology.
Yeah,
kind of
adjacent
it
to
is.
the movie.
Yeah,
Uma
right?
Thurman's overdose. She died.
Have you seen Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think
No.
of parts of this
Not in
movie
a
that have anything to do with
while.
Pulp Fiction.
The overdose.
I think he's just.
remember.
I think
No,
he
I
was
thought you
high
meant,
when he
like,
said
this
that.
was, like,
'cause-
a
Yeah, I mean,
she had
maybe.
an overdose.
Maybe.
I was like,
do you see any
She's-
correlation?
Not
from
really.
this movie?
No.
Yeah.
Seems like something a pretentious. It seems like something Quentin Tarantino would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that movie in a
I mean,
while.
Tarantino's a big film nerd, so I can totally see him knowing about this film and there being slight nods to this film in Pulp Fiction,
I'm
but
sure
obviously
it's-
it's not an outright
Yeah, I can't
remake.
picture.
You know what I'm
it.
saying? Like,
Do we want to talk briefly about just the segments of the movie?
yeah,
Yes.
Kind of a little bit.
good
I mean,
good
we
call.
haven't even
So
given our
actually, so
opinions.
I
No, we
was
didn't really,
I meant
Did you finish? I mean,
I never
went.
gave an opinion.
No,
I,
Andrew needs to give an opinion on the
Oh,
movie.
it's fine. We can do
No,
segments.
we
It's
already
cool.
he's given his opinion
No,
the
he
entire
didn't give his
time. We're an
opinion.
hour and 5 minutes into this. He's given his opinion. There are
He
3
didn't
segments,
give
by the way.
allotted his time to have his
I
opinion.
don't need my allotted time. I have enough opinions.
The 3 segments, by the way, are called the
Trying to stick up
telephone,
for you.
the vertilock, and the drop of water. And I mean, I have a favorite, which I think is the scariest, and that drop of water, which is by far the scariest, I think.
The drops were very loud.
The weird wax lady. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I
Weird,
got it in my notes.
so
It had to
scary.
be made
Oh my
from
God.
wax, right, or something.
Her
weird.
face
She was
was
creepy as fuck.
very creepy.
Yeah. Well, there's the scene when she is in the rocking chair.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's when you really get a really creepy because the lighting's different, and that was frightening.
Well, hot take from me, and because I know somebody already said that they thought the second segment was very well done. I thought that was the weakest of the 3.
Really?
The first and the third segments
I
were
thought the
my
first
favorite.
one was the weakest.
I did too. Yeah.
It was so predictable and.
The
Yeah.
first
The
one was
first
very
the
boring.
first
Let's
segment
let
for
them.
me was hardest to get through. I loved the second one because I thought Boris Karloff was the scenes of him on the horse, knowing that he's undead, coming back to his family. I thought was like, this is insane.
Well, because a child dies.
And then he kills a
Like-
kid, and and it's
Yeah, and
just
then
like,
that couch just like, I'm not leaving. I want this big-breasted blonde woman.
then
He's like,
the-
I don't give a fuck.
the
what's
lady-
happening.
But I love the scene of him on the horse. Like,
It's-
there's something about that lighting and the way the fog
Makeup was
rolls.
very well done too.
It was
Yeah.
creepy, but like just knowing that he's dead.
Yeah.
And
That-
he's riding back to them to get them
Right.
is like fucked up.
And
And
then like
it's,
dead son has to invite himself in, like
very vampire-ish
Yeah, it was
rules.
very good. Yeah.
I was wondering if they were vampirish, but oh my God, it's a stink bug.
Don't kill it, because then it will stink.
Oh no.
He's gonna eat it.
He's just gonna get drunk.
I was gonna say the blonde lady when she like after the other lady's child died, she's like, "Oh come on, it's okay," and I'm like, her fucking child just died. And
Yeah.
You're saying, "Oh come on, it's okay."
It's fine.
Like,
Reel it
no.
in.
She's
It
like,
happens.
"Oh come on, it's okay," and you're like, "No, it's
Well, back
not
then,
okay."
I mean, the kids probably died all the time.
Oh, that's crazy
Because
though.
no one knew how to take care of him.
No, people get a cold in there.
I know.
He has the
You get-
sniffles. Dead.
It's like in the Oregon Trail, you get
Die from
dysentery.
dysentery.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that was kind of serious.
Cholera.
Dehydration, dude.
I mean, cholera sounds terrible.
Cholera did
What?
sound pretty brutal.
Cholera?
It's
That's
like
the
a
thing
horrible
on the Oregon
like
Trail?
whooping cough, right?
Yes.
Whooping cough?
I don't know what is it. I
Well,
thought it was
that's
like there's smallpox.
smallpox. Yeah.
Any kind of
Dysentery.
pox are bad.
Yeah, so smallpox,
the other ones.
dysentery, cholera. I don't know if there was any other ones.
I think
on the
but if you
Oregon
break
Trail.
like if you break a bone
I'm just thinking
or something,
deaths
then
on
you're
the
more...
Oregon Trail. Yeah, you broke a bone, you're dead.
Oh yeah, if you break.
Well,
a
you
bone.
which
probably
is
get
wild.
infected
Imagine that.
and you
Yeah.
get sepsis.
Yeah.
People are like, let me spit on your wound. Is that better?
Your bones out.
Let me
How
lick
many
that
days
like a
should
dog.
I rest for when I have a broken arm?
I don't know.
Were you gonna rest in that bush? Because we're gonna push you
We
in
got
there.
some barley
We
wine
gotta
you can dump
get
on
going
your
on
bone.
the Cumberland Gap. We gotta get to the Platte River, so get the fuck out of here, so we don't die.
Yeah. So I was gonna say the what are they self-suffocation, right? I mean,
Suffocation. No breathe. What were we saying?
no, like how like
Talking
she
Papa Roach?
in the third one how she suffocates herself. And you're
The
like,
demon lady killed her though.
But they're like, but it looks like somebody pried a ring off her.
Yeah, and then that lady's, then the lady's like, that I found.
I mean, but then
I'm like,
she's
did
like,
she steal the ring?
Yeah,
I
but
think
then
she
she
stole
looks
the
at the
ring.
bed and the bed's empty, and she's like, oh fuck.
right, yeah.
Did I steal it? I pried it off of her
my God.
because I want it. It's like the necklace. Whatever
Well,
it is.
she must have
I
been
don't know.
going to bed. 'Cause her...
Yeah, she laid a nightgown out for herself.
The first one was weak, I thought, because number one, that bitch calling her the whole time could not have possibly seen anything that she was doing because it is 1963. It's not like you have a cell phone.
Right, yeah.
You're calling her and you're just guessing what she said she was
It's
guessing.
actually a good point that I didn't consider. Yeah.
And also, after the first one,
But
call
it's
the fucking police.
supernatural.
Call the fucking police. The first one's not supernatural.
It could be.
Well, she got strangled.
Because then her weird guy comes. Then that guy actually does
Well,
come
he
and kills
strangles her
her.
with a phone cord.
No, he strangles
with
her with her
pantyhose.
pantyhose.
Oh, that's what it was? Oh.
Yeah.
But then
I was
Very-
like,
very
the very
weakly.
pantyhose that
Right.
she was wearing earlier. That bitch
Well, it
got
wasn't
everything
even
she
her, it
wanted.
was her friend.
Mary, yeah, no,
By
because
act-
she should have
right.
died because she was the one. She was writing the letter at the end, like,
Yeah.
you didn't want to be my friend anymore, so I thought I'd torture you and make you terrified that this
Right.
guy was coming to kill you, and then he does come and kill her, and she dies.
Right.
It's very ironic, and that's
It is.
what she gets.
Isn't it ironic, Alana?
Don't you think?
A friend
But yeah,
scorned.
that was,
Yeah.
you know,
It
when a
was-
stranger calls, or
I mean, yeah,
Black
the first one was
Christmas,
pretty
it was-
weak.
I think that's why I liked it because it was very much like When a Stranger Calls. Obviously, like, you know, when did the original When a Stranger Calls come out? What year? Do we know?
76.
Yeah, so this
maybe.
was before that. So I mean,
oh,
It
this
was
was definitely
after Black
the first
Christmas.
phone. This is the first someone calling them on the phone.
Hello.
I also thought it was weird
Hi.
how she could make her
79.
voice sound exactly like the guy that
With
was
just a
calling
thing
her.
over
with
the-
just
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
piece of cloth.
Yeah, I was like, this is highly unbelievable. The second one was good. The third one was,
It's like, you haven't talked to me, and we are not friends anymore, but I will come over your
I mean, the
house.
third one was
And
also
I
the best.
will-
I am
'cause the
going to
main-
have you and
the main-
destroy you
the
and
main-
rape you and what about gabagool?
Not rape her, but
Gabagool.
but okay.
I like the third one the best because the main protagonist was this fly that was accosting
The
this
third one
woman
is clearly
the
the
entire
best.
time.
Accosting. Yeah.
The woman's getting accosted by a housefly.
The third one, by the way, makes such good use of sound
Yeah.
as a way to scare. I mean,
the-
like the
That's why
water
I.
dropping
That's, see,
is
that's
just
why
like
I got
fucking
that
crazy.
gave
Well,
me
it-
Edgar
it
Allan
builds
Poe
tension.
vibes because of the water droplets. It was like
Yeah.
the from inside the wall when the.
I was like, wait
Person
for,
was
yeah, I was
buried
waiting
in
for him
there.
to bark upstairs. Like,
Waiting for the
That
spooky
gave me
hound dog
the
to-
Edgar Allan Poe vibes.
Yeah.
That's why, because of that.
For me, the second one, I just loved that image of, like I was saying, Boris Karloff riding the horse, undead, was just.
It was definitely cheesy,
fucking
but
great.
but still good. Like
Yeah.
I think it was still good.
The third one is the scariest of all, but I liked the story of the second last. I thought it was the best written.
For real though, imagine seeing this movie in theaters in 1963 and that third segment with that lady's face coming at you and just like walking at
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I would have fucking shit.
Yeah,
Food
that was
in my
60 years
pants.
ago. Now I watch it and I go, "What am I watching?"
Right?
But then I would have been like, "Oh my fucking god, what is this?"
Yeah, absolutely.
that dripping though was like way too loud. It was so. Oh,
That was the point.
No, but it was so, and you're like,
This guy right here. We're paying the big bucks, Mr. Odette.
do you do the thing where you go like this too?
I don't have
People
to.
have
Oh, that
to-
literally is
Why
you doing
flick
that?
my cheek when
Yes.
I don't have
I thought
to?
Mike was playing sound effects. That was
No.
pretty fucking
No.
good.
Nope.
Do it again. Oh,
That's weird.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
That's a pretty good talent.
Thank you.
One more
One
time.
of
one more
many.
time. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Lady, gentlemen, any further thoughts?
I was like, I'll
on-
show you a town, but it'll be off the air because it makes a lot of noise.
Any further thoughts on Matt's water drop sound effect and or
That sounded weird.
Black
Off
Sabbath?
the air. We're
I'll show
on
you
the
my
air.
talents off the air.
Yeah.
Andrew's like, I don't have any ping pong balls.
Bing bing.
Any further thoughts on Black Sabbath, guys? Before we sign off for the
Avocado
evening?
on it?
You have an
no.
avocado pit?
I had an avocado for lunch.
Kat, how many thumbs would you give Black Sabbath?
2 half thumbs.
Okay, that's one.
Two
So
half
one
thumbs. One.
solid thumb.
I mean, no, 2 half thumbs. Just one solid one. Because one would be a solid
So
one.
I
These
don't
are
know the
2
difference.
half.
I'll show you the
You
difference.
have
Give me a
to, like-
knife, and I'll show you a
Yeah.
half thumb.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's
One
exactly
half,
what I
a half
mean.
thumb bleeding everywhere.
Yes.
All right, fair enough.
That is.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's that.
Matt, Andrew, thoughts on Black Sabbath before we sign off?
I like this. It's something different. I wanted to kind of go back in time for a minute and
I
check
appreciate
out
this.
You gotta
check
pay
out a
your
different
respects.
different aisle of the anthology fucking horror cinema.
I like it.
You
I
gotta
feel
pay
like
your
it was a change
respects
of
to
pace.
I feel like
movies that inspired.
It's a classic.
other movies. Yeah, it's a classic.
If-
Would I watch it again? No, but it's fine.
Fair enough.
It was good.
If
I enjoyed
it was in English.
No,
maybe.
You know what? I'm telling you, the one that was on Shudder was, for some reason, there's multiple movies I've watched on Tubi that are like weird rips
Yeah.
that aren't what is normally like on streaming.
It's
So
Shudder.
some of them are like really bad quality,
Yeah.
and it just, I mean, it's free.
because
I run into that with like episodes of Winnie the Pooh that I'm looking at
Yeah, that'll
that are on YouTube that are like have like Russian on them because they're not on Disney Plus.
That's not good.
Well, again, it's on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. You're just stupid and you didn't know what you were looking for. She's like,
Wow.
Winnie the Pooh, the Adventures of Winnie the Pooh isn't on
New
Disney Plus.
Adventures
I go,
of
yeah,
Winnie
it
the
is.
Pooh.
I've watched it on there before. No. I'm like, it's right there. She goes,
Andrew,
that's the
just
New
dropping
Adventures.
the hard S. You're stupid.
She goes, that's the New Adventures. I go, yeah, that's what it was called in 1990.
At
when
one
it came
point,
out.
it was
It
new.
was the New Adventures. I'm like, you
Yeah.
never just clicked on it to go, what's this?
They
You
didn't
just
update the
ignored it.
name.
Like, I'm never watching this.
Pooh Bear, Winnie the Pooh.
I had that
Bear.
stuck in my head all day at work
I know.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Don't get me
I'm
going.
Sure, I'm sure.
I know.
I'm sure. Life of New Parents
Yeah.
is Winnie,
We started
Winnie the
on
Pooh
Winnie
Bear.
But I can't wait for the dark Winnie the Pooh.
I fucked with Winnie the
So
Pooh.
also, we have to bring this up now. So about a month from now, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is doing a one-night-only release. We did all say that we'd go see it because it is playing in Kingston.
What?
And go see it.
As
Do we
you
know
two
when?
said, with or without you, I'm fucking going.
I believe it's the 15th.
Okay, I can do that.
That's the
That's
day
a
after?
Wednesday.
That's
That's a
February.
Wednesday.
Is that the day
February.
after?
The day after Valentine's Day.
That's a
yes.
Wednesday.
Oh.
Yes.
So we could watch that and then podcast about it right after.
Certainly good.
That might be a long
The night after.
Yeah, not
might be
the
a lot.
same night.
Let's see, we went to an early, like, 4:30
I mean,
show.
how many? I don't know how many showings of Winnie the Pooh.
How many?
Probably,
But I can definitely do
one.
that. So
Okay.
We're seeing it one way or another.
Oh, we have to. We have to.
We'll bring Bridget if we have to.
I mean, we can bring her. She might cry a little bit during it. but
She might add to the horror effect.
She might. Yes. All
All
right. Anywho, guys.
more
anything
thoughts.
further?
No.
All right. Good.
Happy then.
Good.
Happy
Good man.
Janthology.
Happy Janthology.
Yes.
to
Oh,
you.
is this the end?
No,
This
Yeah,
week.
we're about to wrap
Oh,
up.
no.
This episode.
I was like, there's a lot of January left.
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
Couple more weeks.
it's still January.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
So we have a couple more episodes left to do. Have we decided
We've
what we're going to
already
do
lined
next
them
week?
up.
What are we going to do next week?
Well, let's
Let's decide right now.
You had a poll. You had a deep cut poll.
Did I?
The January.
Do we say we were
I
going to
texted in the group, right?
All right, so do we say we were going to do one of the VHS movies in addition to something else?
Yes. So I said, fuck
Fuck
ABC's.
Yeah, the ABC's Death would have been
Yeah,
too
what
many
was
to
it?
cover.
It was,
Yeah.
It was like the evil of something.
Yeah, it was one that came out a couple years ago and it looked
Evil
really
of
good. And it was
Dead.
like a bunch of it was like 8 segments and they were all
8's a lot
foreign.
too.
8's so many.
And they're all foreign.
I think so.
Well, I'll tell you what. Whenever
sex drive's way too
whatever
long, I can't
VHS
find
movie
anything.
you guys want to do, you guys can pick, and we'll figure it out.
I'd like to do VHS 9.
Have we ever done the
Okay.
original?
No,
I've seen the original. We used to watch the
I'd watch every VHS movie.
Except Viral.
on VHS?
Viral stinks. Viral stinks out loud. Yeah.
VHS on VHS.
Well, we don't have a VHS player.
We should pick one we all have
That's
not
two.
seen before.
Correct. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. So, hey, stay tuned. And
Hey,
next week,
oh,
we will bring you
let's
something
go.
new about the Janthology.
We'll also
of
bring
horror.
people our death row meals next week too.
Yes.
Oh,
no,
that's
we.
Death Row
No,
meals.
no. Let's do it next week. We teased it.
Next
right
week
now.
I haven't done it. That's why.
Did
Yeah,
you
you haven't
tease
done
it?
it, yeah.
I
mean,
haven't even given mine.
Matt and I gave ours. Kat didn't give hers either.
I
so.
gave my death row meal.
No, you didn't.
Oh, dude, I talked about that
Yeah.
with like a
We'll
dozen
talk about
people
later.
that
We'll talk
day.
about later.
Yeah.
We'll talk about later. All right, it's been another episode of America's Hometown Horror, guys. We talked about a lot of different things. Hope you guys had fun with us, because we certainly had fun talking with you.
See you.
And now
Guess
we,
what?
Now we close out with Iron Man, right?
Yeah. Oh, I am Iron Man. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and Spreaker too. Wherever else. I mean, do you even listen to me at this point? You don't even You know where to find the podcast. You know where to find. You don't need me to tell you. So anyway, hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike. I'm joined by Matt, Cat, and Andrew. Say a good evening. Bye.
Happy wildcard weekend. Goodbye.
Yes.
Bye.
Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.